was all excited to live out my Phil Collins dreams with this thing on my face, but it's not all that it's cracked up to be. I can't. This thing is awkward, and so we're the Terminal Orchestra. We're from here in Marquette, and the piece we're going to do for you tonight is part of this new project album that we're working on, which is a musical interpretation of the book Watership Down by Richard Adams. And Watership Down is a very layered book, and it gets dismissed a lot because the main characters are rabbits, so people think it's, you know, a kid's book, which is totally far from the truth. It's very, very many layers, but its simplest layer, it's an adventure story. So at the beginning of the book, which is what this piece is based off of, the main characters set out on this epic journey to find a new place to call home. And the world is really big and scary, and they've never left their home warren. So there's all these things that they didn't foresee leaving. And since it's the first song off the album, I kind of wanted to start the album off with a bang, but I also wanted to capture this new, big, scary world in kind of a grand and cinematic scope with this song. And I also wanted to add elements of mystery that these characters encounter along the way, and the danger that's foreboding, that's on the horizon, that's awaiting for them. So without further ado, this is The Journey Begins, and it's dedicated to our compadre guitar player, Rory Hakela, who couldn't be here, unfortunately, with us tonight. I'm going to say goodbye to Phil. First.